Fans, welcome to Sports Chat, the spring break edition. Even though it's spring break, some sporting news going on. Campbell County's Matt Ogden threw a no-hitter against Jellicoe just the other day.
That was an impressive, very impressive feat. One of the more rare feats in baseball. I mean, pretty much perfect game, no hitters, hitting for the cycle. Those are some rare individual game feats that you don't see that often, especially when it's no hitters, especially at the high school level, because frankly the batters at high school are pretty good usually. You know, have a lot of guys that hit 500 or better in high school.
Right, so the big kudos to Matt Ogden. Soccer's rolling right along. Not heard a lot about softball yet. Going to make a trip up there next week after spring break is over. Track's got some talented athletes running.
Yeah, this is nice to track meet. A little switched up this year compared to what it was. Gracie Faulkner, who's just a fantastic distance runner, at least for now is trying some shorter distances. She ran the 300-meter hurdles. First time she'd ever ran a hurdle race, and she did a respectable job, and she dominated the 400-meter race.
She did.
And that was her first short official organized 400 that I know of, because she usually runs a mile and the 2 mile, which of course are a lot different pace, a lot different way you set yourself up for the race. And she was good at that 400. I mean, she won by, I would say, 15, 20, 30 yards over the rest of the field.
Yeah, the 400 is a funny race because most of your dedicated sprinters don't like it. Mm-hmm. And it's really short for a distance runner.
Yeah. It's right there in that middle ground, and usually there kind of are just those specialty 400 runners. Some of your sprinters will run it, and very occasionally a distance runner will run it, which that's what Gracie's doing. And so she
did it really well.
And got down the track and just pretty much dominated that race. So I thought she had state level potential in the distance races. We'll see. She said she'd still probably do some of the 1600s, but she just said she's switching this up for now to try out the shorter races.
Well, and plus with track, you can qualify for sectionals immediately during the season.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be at Campbell County. You can't because they don't have the proper timing system. But in other meets around the area, Campbell County athletes can qualify because they have electronic timers. You have to have an electronic timing system.
The only thing, you can only qualify for field events at Campbell County.
Campbell County can field, your jumping events, your throwing events. You can qualify, but you can't qualify in any of the races. So Campbell County only hosts one or sometimes 2 track meets a year, and generally they'll have a couple at Anderson County, then one at just about every team.
They usually have 3 at Anderson County, 3 at Oak Ridge, but the Oak Ridge one's like one of them's like the Oak Ridge Relays.
It's an invite only for people who've done well enough in their racing.
But that's the same thing with that third, the Dale Leg at Anderson County. It's a straight up invitation. It's kind of your warm up before
the relays at Oak Ridge are they're races. They don't have throwing at the relays that I know of. It is running only. So Dale Leg does. It is invitational, but it is every event is in the Dale Leg. But just like I say, Campbell County without the electronic timing system, I'm not sure how much it costs to get one. But hopefully someday they'll be able to get one for the track team. They're improving a lot of other facilities. They really nice improvement to the softball facility.
Baseball already has a pretty nice facility.
Baseball got a really nice outfield fence and scoreboard and stuff put in last year. Basketball looking towards getting some new scoreboards up.
They've started a general gym improvement. Soccer's getting a brand new field.
There's a new field being installed right now. So I think it's time, you get the timer for the track and maybe get some tennis courts put in next year.
Yeah.
Or something like that. In the next few years would be nice for those 2 teams. Soccer, the track, I imagine it was paved a decade ago or something like that.
It was paved. The last time I remember that surface going down was when I was coaching at Campbell County. It's been closer to 2 decades.
It's got some minor cracks in it and stuff like that, so it may be time to give a track upgrade and maybe resurface it.
We did finally get a pole vault pit back.
Yeah, we got the pole vault pit. But get that electronic timing system so Campbell County athletes can have a home meet and actually race and qualify at their home track. And of course, I said we've lobbied on here for the last 4 years to get tennis courts installed.
Right. I think it's a shame because we're really not set up I know there's tennis courts at Cove Lake, and there's actually significantly less tennis courts in La Follette because they converted the Lower T Rec Center, which is the skate park.
Here, you need 5 minimum to host an event.
And Cove Lake has 3.
Cove Lake has 3. And
there's 3, I think, behind the Shell station.
And we've said it before, so like I said, we've said on here for years. The tennis, they have to split the teams when they come here, and most people don't have enough coaching staff for tennis to want to be able to, send this coach with this team of the girls down here to Cove Lake and drive all the way across town to the Shell station and have another coach there. So a lot of teams will just forfeit or just say, no, we're not coming, whatever, we're on the schedule. And so the tennis team ends up playing on the road constantly.
And it's a shame because those kids work hard too, and they deserve a spot for their home crowd and them cheer them on.
I look at it this way too. I mean, there's at least 20 people on the tennis team usually.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big participation sport. If you're getting this many upgrades for, as I said, soccer, and soccer needs upgrades. Soccer needs a field. It needs its own dedicated field with some seats and a concession stand area and everything else, so they can actually make some money on soccer.
Right.
And right to playing at the practice field, you just kind of had to pull up a seat on the side of a hill and sit in the chair you brought yourself.
Which is terrible. We deserve better than that.
And the kids deserve better than that, and the fans deserve better than that. And just like you get it, you sell some concessions, get some visitors up here that come and pay to get in, and they'll buy drinks and nachos and stuff.
And they're playing at Snodderly Park right now. They're not playing on the practice field this year, it turns out. Snodderly Park's a great facility. Kudos to the city of La Follette for letting the music, but it's not quite the proper dimension that we could ever host a district tournament.
Well, yeah, you need your own field. And it's coming in. It's going in. We will have a field that meets all specifications
for the girls
here by next spring, hopefully, or next fall. Hopefully it grows up, gets done. The grass grows up well in the summer. It's maintained, manicured, and everything's right with that. Like I say, right across from that, I'd love to see them. It's about 5 or 6 tennis courts in that big other section of large field. And frankly, there's no point in having large grassy fields at the high school when you could have facilities that your students could be using for other things at the high school. We just really improved it so much. You went to the softball field, that big, beautiful ROTC building, football having a practice field and a regular field. The football field's getting upgraded a lot, and I think they'll probably have a new scoreboard pretty soon. That's been the same scoreboard at that field for 30 years.
Right.
Basketball.
And with basketball getting one, that also benefits volleyball. We don't really talk about that.
Volleyball will be held.
That'll give volleyball a new scoreboard.
Like I said, the other sports, which are fishing and golf, you can't really host it unless you build some kind of extension of Campbell County's campus down to the lake. It's not that far from the lake.
We actually do host a good one though, because we actually have an excellent fishing facility in town, being Norris.
But Norris is a tough fishery. It's not the easiest fishery to catch on, and it probably gives Campbell County quite a home lake advantage because Norris is a unique lake, and you have to learn how to fish it. It's just not easy to catch fish on Norris unless.
But if you know how, you can do it.
Yeah, if you know how to catch fish, and it's just not structured like a lot of other lakes are. But how much Norris fluctuates? It fluctuates more than any lake in the TVA system, up and down as far as it goes for depth. You just get a lot of cover changes, but. It's
also very interesting topography on the bottom, the way it's flooded out there.
Fish on Norris tend to bite better in the wintertime and spring, and they kind of shut down as it gets warmer and warmer. So later in the fishing season, if there's a hosting on Norris Lake, that would play really big into the hands of the local team fishers.
Of course, for golf,
hard to manage. And golf,
we have Deerfield.
Golf has Deerfield on the greens. They do an excellent job.
The Fields family
getting hosts.
Take really good care of you out in golf matches too. We may do a middle school golf match this year.
Scott and Lisa are great guys.
As are Kevin and Jennifer.
And just the whole family of the Fields. And if any of those people will ever run for office, I'd sure vote for them because they're great people.
Well, Lisa is.
Lisa is running for your first district. That's school board member.
Right. She's got my support.
Yeah, I don't live in the first district.
But I'll campaign for her.
If I were a first district person, it'd be hard to get me to vote for anybody else because they're a really nice bunch of people. And
hosting us this weekend, and it takes a special person to host us.
For us to get invited back. And we've been invited back many times. And that's the key. You might host us once sometime. than that other reputation. It's not always guaranteed. But, great people, and I said they do great with golf and helping out the Campbell County and middle school golf. But, get those tennis courts built at their school board.
Yeah, come on. I mean, there are grants from the USTA out there. I know that for a fact.
I mean, I've seen
if nothing else, you can get the fence.
The USTA would put their fences up for them. That's a pretty big expense of getting it done. But that whole thing should be about 5-6 tennis courts, and that way you pretty much have
Carnes
all the
has
stuff,
tennis courts,
except for that golf and fishing on campus. And
Carnes is a hole. It's like a black hole in Knoxville. They have tennis courts.
Carnes isn't. It's just the high school in the middle of the industrial park. It's really strange. But I mean, you go around, you look at Oak Ridge. They have beautiful tennis facilities, and beautiful everything at Oak Ridge. And granted, they've had a really nice tax base, being a city-only school system for years,
with a great industrial base because of the nuclear industry
and all that, and it's helped them build up over the years. But everybody's goal should be to try to give their student athlete, their students in general, the same experiences you get at the better schools in the region. And I know money can be an issue at times, but you spend a bunch of money on a bunch of foolish stuff. You spend a little money on the kids.
Right. I mean,
so they're doing that to some extent with the improvements they're seeing made. The tennis team, it's been up there probably since the high school was founded.
Yeah, it's one of the original sports teams.
I knew it was there when we were there. So you're looking at 40 years now without a home court. There's never been a home tennis match in 40 years at Campbell County. And that's I would imagine that's the only sport in the entire system that's never had a home match that could possibly be on.
Because there's been important track meets held in Campbell County before the requirement of the electronic score.
The electronic score gave rise
within the last 10 years.
Fairly recently. But there used to be, competitive track and district championship level track and everything else at Campbell.
And we still host the middle school track events, which don't require it. We're the home of usually the middle school either region or sectional meet.
So that's a good thing. I just think getting that electronic timer upgrade would be good, and it would help go back to being able to host a district championship kind of thing. Because otherwise, the facilities are perfectly nice for it. You've got a great throwing, jumping, everything else facility up there. But yeah, the tennis courts have been neglected for, let's say, 40 years. And it's probably time to maybe give the tennis a bone and finally get those courts put in. I guess the other big news is the strange NCAA tournament.
Ain't it though?
Probably, God, this may be the most cheating, I guess, bracket since UNLV was at their height playing in it. I mean, North Carolina should be facing about 25 years worth of sanctions after this season's over, with all the, decade after decade after decade of academic fraud they've committed. But Syracuse also committed a large amount of fraud, academic fraud in their basketball program, and got a slap on the wrist, and they're playing the Final Four right now.
Yeah.
So, hey, cheating pays for some teams, but don't host a
Jesse
barbecue.
Ventura once said, "Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat."
He's almost always right. But yeah, Michigan State losing, busted a lot of brackets, and then Kansas losing, busted a lot more. Sure busted mine. Kentucky lost, which was fortunate. Everybody loved that. We lost Kentucky.
Right.
But yeah, it's a strange bracket. Only one of the top seeds made it. I actually had Oklahoma in my Final Four bracket, so it doesn't
I had
really
Michigan State
surprise me that they did make it. It's just the rest of my bracket looks like a giant nuclear bomb went off on it. But, yeah, I got Oklahoma, and a lot of those first round upsets, but nothing else beyond that. Spring practice underway at UT. Few injuries. Jalen Reese-Maven's out for the entire spring, but you know what you get.
Yeah, I was going to say the ones that are out are the ones that you know what they can do.
My big thing, I want to see Khalil McKenzie in better shape this spring. I want to see him make improvements, because Khalil was supposed to be one of those guys that came in and as a freshman, freshman All-America, he was the #1 overall recruit in the country. He came in booking about 400 pounds. Or close to it, and
not the good way.
I mean, his playing weight's about 350-ish, 330, 350 is what he would be ideal playing weight. But he just was out of shape. You saw that he got more playing time toward the end of the year as he got into a little bit better shape. But hopefully he's taking the winter, dedicating himself to working out, because he's a $100 million man. If he puts his potential into play, his second contract in the NFL is probably going to be north of $100 million. if he just keeps his head on his shoulders and works hard. I think he will. He seems like a really good kid.
Yeah, we've had some very minor interaction with him, and he's a good guy.
And Jack Johnson, another freshman guy on the offensive line, Will came in together. He's been looking pretty good in spring. Tennessee's got a lot of blocks in place right now to build, a championship level team out of. I mean, I have to imagine when the media days start here in about 4 months, 5 months, Tennessee's probably going to be the pick in the East. Maybe a few will pick Georgia because Georgia's got a lot of talent, but nobody knows what Kirby Smart's going to do.
Right.
Florida, I don't think anybody's convinced that they did all that real last year. They tailed off at the end of the season. I mean, we obviously should have beat them last year, even with their performance-enhancing drug-using quarterback who somehow played against us, and they got a win and got to keep the win. They didn't have to forfeit it. And he actually made the play that beat us, and he was, suddenly played like the greatest quarterback ever after he'd sucked, and was on all kinds of performance-enhancing drugs. But he's left the team now, but not that it does have Tennessee anymore, because he already lost to them while he was on performance-enhancing drugs, because Florida athletes are drug addicts for the most part. Everybody knows that about Gators, and Florida State Seminoles say I like to use lots of illicit substances all the time. Miami does it too, but Miami's really cool.
Of course, Missouri should be just in the toilet, but still floating on top of Vandy.
I'm not even sure if Matty Mock is on the team or not. He's been suspended about 23 times. But I'm always surprised to hear that he was back on the team when he got suspended again. He may have finally been kicked off the team, but they should be bad. I mean, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky may be good-ish, better. I don't know if Stoops is getting it any closer. Because they play 5 really bad teams and can start 5-0, and then they lose their last 7 games of the year every year when they actually start playing good SEC teams. They beat Vanderbilt and lose the other 7. Vanderbilt's an atrocity. I mean,
speaking of Vandy,
I can't imagine they're going to win 5 games in the next 5 years.
I can't imagine what they're going to do basketball-wise now.
Oh, they were going to fireball Kevin. I mean, Pittsburgh's the one that made the strange move.
I agree.
I have no idea what Pittsburgh was thinking. Ball Kevin has made 7 NCAA tournaments in 17 years at Vanderbilt. They kind of just let the coach go that had been to 11 NCAA tournaments in 13 years. And he went back to TCU, which is an alma mater, because they were like, we're tired of you, you can go. But I don't understand how they thought they're upgrading with getting Ball Kevin too. Because Kevin O'Neill's Ball Kevin won the SEC. He's not a good coach. I mean, he's an average. We're going to make the one NCAA tournament every year and a half, every 2 years, every 2.5 years, whatever. He's not that good of a coach. Strange decision out of Pitt. I imagine their fans will be really ticked off. Conzo Martin, there's a petition to keep him in Cal from Cal fans. Very strange situation. One of his assistant coaches apparently sexually harassing a reporter and trying to get her to have sex with him to give her better stories. She says she reported to Conzo many times and he ignored it, didn't do anything about it. If that happened to Tennessee, we would be getting roasted over the coals even more. Now, you hear nothing about it because it's a Cal and it's Conzo, and you can't say mean things about Conzo. I never see the qualifier about Conzo Martin without hearing he's a good man, but usually in regard to his terrible coaching. If he's been covering up sexual harassment for a long time, I'm going to question how good of a man he is at that point, especially after the way he left Tennessee, he got actually offered a raise. I mean, people don't seem to ever see that part of it. Conzo Martin was offered a $500,000 a year raise and left the job anyway. Tennessee didn't run him off. He was offered a raise to stay at Tennessee.
So the fans rightfully wanted to run him off.
Fans weren't happy with it because he underachieved, and Cal fans saw that this year. Three top 20 NBA picks, two top 10 NBA picks on his team, and he lost in the first round to Hawaii, the 13th seed to beat your team. That's a team that had almost Kentucky level talent, who lost in the second round, but everybody knows Calipari sucks as a coach. Calipari doesn't have overwhelming.
He recruited.
I'm talking if Calipari doesn't have 5 first-round draft picks, his team is going to be bad and it's going to suck. It only has 3 first-round draft picks probably in it right now.
Sucked out loud.
Second round loss, 10 losses almost on the season. He's not a good coach. He's just a really good recruiter.
Good covering stuff up.
A lot of help from Worldwide West and that bunch. He's gotten help from them over the years. I mean, mysteriously, people have taken the ACTs for Derrick Rose. Cal Poly knew nothing about that, of course. Just it'll end in scandal in Kentucky eventually, or they'll fire him for not winning the national championship every year. They usually do one of those two things. But that's just probably about it on the sporting front. I mean, the NBA winding down, the playoffs getting ready to start. I'm in the fantasy championships against the evil empire of Wayne over here at the Papa John's League. So hope wish me luck on that. The good Dr. Martis Patrick and I will be eating like kings in Valhalla, provided I win, and we'll go to Rosario. So hopefully that happens. As we got
I have high hopes.
Devastating news about Patrick's bracket today, being in second place with possibly no path to victory because he and the championship potential winner apparently picked the same rest of the bracket. So Patrick may have to.
And she is apparently, according to the scorekeeper, may have an insurmountable lead.
Somehow I'm in third place, and I guess everybody over there must have picked a really bad bracket because mine must have bombed out.
Early.
Mine's been up in flames since the first weekend for the most part. But we'll see what goes on with that, and we'll probably have a report, obviously, about the Final Four and the mysterious lack of number one seeds and massive amounts of academic fraud involved in that Final Four on the next sports chat that you happen to see.
Fans, we will see you next time on Sports Chat.